Well, crypto. We'll try not to stay too far in the DeFi weeds, but first, just want to thank the Better Identity Coalition, Venable, FIDO Alliance for setting all this up. I think it's super important that we all stay conversing and at the forefront of what's happening technically and on the regulation side, as well as the practice side. Um, this year, Jeremy mentioned, Treasury reached out in a request for information on innovative new ways to detect illicit finance in digital assets. And they had highlighted a couple of technologies and a couple of specific points that they wanted us to speak to. And one of those was digital identity. Another one was AI. And obviously, there's some crossover there. We just saw how deep fakes are playing into that. But Treasury right now, I think, is starting to take some of these questions a little bit more seriously. They're starting to accept and open up to the possibility that these MDLs that we're seeing state by state come out with strong cryptographic backbones are going to be good options for identity solutions. But crypto is a little bit different than some of the other financial institutional questions, thoughts day to day. It has a couple of qualities that typical FIs don't deal with all at once, if they deal with some of them at all. So pseudonymity is the obvious one. Blockchains are pseudonymous by design, which is kind of the main problem we're trying to solve here with ID. Speed, near instant settlement. That's one of the major problems for a lot of the thefts and hacks, is that before you even notice that somebody's gotten into your system, the money's already gone, potentially across border. Decentralization. So it's great when you have somebody who's at the switch ready to slow bad processes and bad actors down, maybe roll back some theft, or if there's access where there shouldn't be, somebody who has kind of their finger on the pulse and is able to fix that is great. A lot of crypto does not have that, especially in the decentralized finance space. Right now, there's a lot of questions over who is an intermediary as market structure gets argued on the Hill. But in the case where there is no definite intermediary, makes our jobs a little bit harder on the ID side. Transparency is great. We talk about it all the time on the Hill. We love giving law enforcement access to transparent logs of who's sending money to who. But that's not true of all blockchains. And then all of this is kind of underpinned by kind of the anti-suit and tie persona, the cypherpunk kind of culture that the industry brings. And I think with adoption from more traditional institutions, we've seen that kind of wane a little bit, which is good. We would not get adoption if we didn't let experts like yourselves come in and kind of teach us how to play nice and how we're supposed to play respectfully if we want to have a societal impact. But these things all do kind of give us new problems to solve. So I don't have to spend a lot of time talking about what happens when you don't solve identity well. Users deal with thefts, hacks, frozen funds, remediation can be a problem. Regulators are dealing with overwhelming false positives, especially some of the earlier models of AI on the defense. They'd pick up just about anything and call it suspicious, which gives a lot of a backlog on the other side. And that touches the law enforcement piece. So slower attribution, harder interdiction, weaker recovery, especially when a blockchain transaction is immutable. So once it goes through, that's it. There's no account that it's sitting in where somebody has access sometimes to pull it out. So this all has to do with weak identity at the front end. If we're onboarding somebody into a crypto protocol, and if you're Coinbase and you're KYCing somebody, making sure that you're fully BSA compliant, that's awesome. That will give a lot of energy right up front to stop the bad guys. If you are a DeFi protocol and all I need is a computer or a cell phone that can plug into a browser to access my funds, it gets a little trickier. So I think that those problems kind of fall kind of into three buckets. We got technical problems, which I think there are kind of very few of left, actually, because of a lot of great work by some of the people in this room and some of the people that we're working with regularly. The governmental piece, whether regulators will understand this tech and allow it to move forward. And then, as I mentioned before, kind of the cultural piece. So on the technical side, we've probably some if not all of us have read some great papers on the topic, keeping the industry aware of technical updates. But NIST recently took a lot of feedback and updated their digital identity guidelines last year. I think that's 863. And one of the things that they mentioned a lot in there was self-sovereign identities or customer credentials, subscriber-held credentials, which was a good first step from our perspective, but didn't have all of the solutions laid out. One side that we've solved on the technical piece is using ZK proofs to use derived attribute values, trying to minimize honeypots of PII being gathered by institutions that are just waiting for a hack. That was not fully incorporated into those guidelines, so we've got a little room to grow there. Blockchain-based applications, so decentralized apps, or blockchain addresses themselves, or attestations on chain. All of these should be good technical solutions for so if you need an attestation, there's no reason you can't use an attestation on chain, which nobody has control over and nobody can change. If you need to notify somebody, doesn't really make sense to me that they need an email address rather than having a wallet address that might be able to receive the same type of information. So we've got the technical piece. We are working, and Jeremy Grant and the Better Identity Coalition have been really helpful in going back to Treasury, trying to clear up, where these things can be fixed, going back to NIST, trying to get those things incorporated, these pieces incorporated into their new guidelines as they update. But it has been slow. We're working at the state level as well for MDL recognition and adoption. We've gotten some wins. We're working right now with Spruce ID, who helped California with their MDL update. But we've got Arizona this year, Maryland, Florida, New York. They're all trying to play around with the pilot portion. We're there. I mean, I feel like the technology is there. We just need the buy-in. So these are great first steps, and we'll keep pushing. And I'm sure everyone in this room is on board, and we'll keep pushing for MDL adoption. But I think that needs to be, made more clear to people at the state side, so that we can bring that up to federal regulators. And I got some great news last night that Bill Foster reintroduced the Improving Digital Identity Act, which kind of tries to rally all those state identity providers together and get them on the same page in terms of accepting those MDLs for identity. And then we've got wallet-based identity integrations. So that's much more industry-driven, private sector-driven. There was a mention on the last panel of like fully self-sovereign credentials. We're probably a couple of years out from that, but we do have companies who are working on this today, right? So you get your attestations, you prove who you are one time, and then it never has to phone home, never has to phone back to your DMV to check that data. It's all kept on its own ledger. That would be kind of the dream for the industry, I think. And I think one of the problems that we have to solve, us and a lot of you in this room, is how do we get that culture and that mindset to map onto where our economy is, right? So we've got a couple $1 trillion of money flowing around this economy. Not a lot of it is being held in Web3 applications or on blockchain protocols. It's going to be your teams and your clients that are helping build the next layer of kind of American success. We are going to have to understand how we can best match our tech up to some of the expectations you have. I don't want to hold anybody from lunch too much longer, but I will leave you with one challenge after saying that we need to come to you guys and find out what exactly it is you need, so that our customers, your customers, can kind of all share the same infrastructure and continue to thrive in the American economy. But I would very much hope that as new technologies do become made available, especially as self-sovereignty over the next couple of years becomes more of a reality, we would love to have you, traditional financial institutions and their representatives and their clients and customers, we would love to have you guys on board as well, kind of adopting that new technology, integrating it, and making sure that it works across the board for everyone involved. So with that, I will let you guys go.